Hi, welcome.
Uh,
Please put your school email down so I could take attendance. You could just type it in the chat. Okay, it is 5:30. Please put your school email in the chat so I could take attendance and we're going to begin. This is a Jeopardy style review session. You're welcome to shout out the answer or type it in the chat. And if you have any questions, feel free to stop me and we could have Q&A at the end of this Jeopardy session. This macronutrient is the most energy dense nutrient with 9 calories per gram.
Carbohydrate.
Not carbohydrates, but fat. Carbs is only 4. And do you guys remember what proteins are? Yep, also 4. Proteins are key components of these 3 vital elements in the body: blood cells, enzymes, and
Immune factors.
immune factors. Nice job. The process of cooking does not affect this nutrient.
Is it potassium?
Minerals in general. These chemicals found in fruits and vegetables offer health benefits, but are not classified as essential nutrients. What are they called? And can you give an example of one? I'll give you a hint. Part of the word has the word chemicals in it. They're phytochemicals, such as antioxidants that can be found in blueberries. And sometimes, oh, and also garlic has a lot of antioxidants too. So, stuff like that are phytochemicals. These 4 micronutrients dissolve in fat. What are the 4 micronutrients? Vitamin A, yes, Jody. Vitamin D, E, and K. And this is really good to know because when you are cooking in fat, like if you're cooking kale, which is high in vitamin K in fat, the vitamin K will leach out into the fat. So if you discard that, then you're getting rid of that vitamin. Okay, this next section is about guidelines. This term describes foods that provide a large number of calories relative to their weight or volume.
Nutrient dense.
Not nutrient dense, but energy dense. These two words could be a little bit tricky because they sound very similar, but think of candy. Candy is like the super small thing, but it is really high in calories because it's just pure glucose. And it gives you so much energy for this tiny thing, but doesn't have a lot of nutritional value. While if you consume something like tofu, it's nutrient dense. It gives you a lot of protein as well as a bunch of vitamins and minerals and calcium, but a piece of candy will not give you all those vitamins and minerals. Health problems resulting from insufficient dietary intake to meet nutritional needs describe this condition.
Malnutrition.
Yes, malnutrition or undernutrition. You could be um overweight and still malnourished and undernourished. Foods like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains are examples of this type of food, which is rich in nutrients but relatively low in calories. Oh, we just talked about this earlier. You guys got this. I believe in you.
Nutrient dense.
Yes. Can you name another nutrient dense food that isn't tofu?
Like a whole fruit or like orange.
Yeah.
Milk.
Yeah, milk, oranges. Observed to be adequate to meet the needs of an age/gender without seeing any problems or apparent deficiencies. Adequate intake. Daily value is something a little bit different. Symptoms like rapid hair loss can be an indicator of this type of assessment, which focuses on nutrition-related physical signs.
Malnourishment. Or like
Do you remember the ABCDEs of nutrition assessments that some people use to assess someone's nutrition? So clinical assessment is the C. Okay, this section is on food labeling. This label indicates that a food product is grown without pesticides, synthetic fertilizers, or genetically modified organism.
Organic.
Yes, organic. This act requires that food products containing protein from major allergens must be labeled to protect consumers. It's the Food Allergen Labeling and Consumer Protection Act. A common health claim on food packaging that does not require scientific evidence and is not approved or validated by the FDA. For example, these vitamin gummies support the immune system.
Is it a structure claim?
Yes, it's a structure or function health claim, and that describes the role of a nutrient in maintaining the structure or function of the body. These are like anyone could say this has a correlation with this, but it is not approved or like there's no good system in place right now to regulate that. So people could say, oh, matcha is good for your eyesight, and people would buy that even though it's not tested or it's not true. And if they did test it, they might do it through a third party or something, but not through the FDA. So people can make up claims like this. So be wary. You pick up a box of Cheerios in the supermarket. The nutrition facts panel tell you that a 1 cup serving provides 25% of the blank for iron.
Already said it. Daily value.
Yeah, the daily value. Now this one's about the daily value. The adequate intake and daily value are very similar to each other. And definitely like they're averages of like the population, but it's definitely relative to like your lifestyle, if you're like an athlete or if you're more sedentary, as well as how big you are, because taller people, they definitely need more calories and use more in their system. But this is just a great like simple gauge for people to figure out how much they need to consume. A food label, that means replacing nutrients lost in processing.
Is it fortified?
Enriched. Fortified, it is also a word similar to enriched. One of the most common items that does this is all-purpose flour. A lot of I like did this for my thesis, but like back then when they were like trying to make bread very like homogeneous, longer shelf life, they took out the germ, and that is like the oily part of the bread that makes it go rancid fast, and they took off the bran, the shell of the wheat. And when they took out all these nutrients, I mean took out all these like things to make it more shelf stable and more homogeneous and like pretty, it got rid of a lot of nutrients, and a lot of children who were consuming these products weren't meeting their nutritional needs. So they enriched it and fortified it. Fortified means you add things to the product that wasn't there originally. While enrich means you're trying to equate for what was lost. So like niacin, they took that out and then they added it back in a different way. But the thing is, it's never like equal, you know? And they're not adding all the nutrients. They're just adding the ones that were like very much affecting the people consuming it. So those are the difference between enriched and fortified. Okay, next section, the digestive system, the GI tract. Starch digesting enzyme produced by salivary glands and pancreas. What is it called?
Is it amylase, or I don't know how to pronounce that?
Yeah, amylase. This is the coolest, like I think of my enzyme, because you know how glucose is one of the most prized possessions that our body uses for energy. Like that's why as soon as you put the food in your mouth, amylase is created to immediately start the process of digestion because they want to like break it down to the energy source. So that's how I remember it in the salivary glands. Mixture of stomach secretions and partially digested food. This is just a very fun word. And when it goes through your system, it's not called food anymore. It has a fun name that people like to use when they study the GI
Is
tract.
it like chyme or
Yeah, it's time. It's a very silly word. The part of the digestive system that has microbiota and absorbs water, some minerals, and vitamins. Yes, it's the large intestines. There was a documentary that just came out on Netflix where they like use felt to represent how they're studying the microbiota. It's a very new topic. The gut health, you hear things, they're like associating it with a lot of people's immunity, as well as like if you have acne and you gave some of your gut bacteria to someone else, they could get the acne too. So there's like a lot of cool research being done about the microbiota because that's where a lot of the bacteria are digesting. The type of nutrient that cannot be absorbed by the small intestines. It enters through the hepatic portal to the liver because this nutrient is too big. It enters the lacteals and then it travels to the lymphatic system, to the bloodstream, and is stored in adipose tissue. Yes, this lipid. This is one of the coolest thing ever because our body works so hard to break all of the bonds of the lipids to make it small enough. And then they like form into these like chylomicrons that look very gnarly. And then they do all these things because if the lipid is free to float around, it could like cause a lot of problems like clotting because you know how like water and like fat don't really like each other, so they separate. But yeah. So they enter through the hepatic portal. This organ in the digestive system manufactures insulin, glucagon, bicarbonate ion, lipase, tryptose, trypsinogen, and amylase. If you remember amylase, you might remember what this organ is. Oh yes, it's the pancreas. Dude, I feel like we're gonna talk about this later about insulin, glucagon, but anyways, we'll move on because we'll talk about it later. This organ in the digestive, oh, we already talked about this. Okay, next one, the GI tract maladies. Erosion of the lining in the esophagus, stomach, or upper small intestines. What is it called?
An ulcer?
An ulcer. That's true, very sad. Health conditions in which stomach acid backs up into the esophagus and is common in half of North American adults.
Acid reflux?
Acid reflux. I learned recently that our diaphragm is right where the esophagus goes through, and that little part in the diaphragm is called the hiatus. And the when you have acid reflux, sometimes you could train the muscle in your diaphragm to like contract because it's a voluntary sphincter, like where the esophagus goes through. And if you train your diaphragm, you can prevent this, which is pretty cool. Health condition in, oh wait, sorry, I already said this. Chronic immune-mediated disease that flattens villi and limits absorption of nutrients due to exposure to dietary protein gluten.
Celiac disease.
Yeah, celiac disease. There's a lot of studies being done right now. Sorry if there's a lot of extra information. I just feel like this is a lot of fun topics. In like Europe, where they found that wheat grown in like other countries could reverse effects from this disease, which is pretty cool. Okay. Eliminate trigger foods. Poorly digested carbohydrates, follow low food map dietary pattern, moderate caffeine, small, frequent, low fat meals, and reduce stress. Treat depression. This is the irritable bowel syndrome, specifically the treatment for it. Oh, I should have wrote what like specific maladies it was. Okay. According to the hygiene hypothesis, a highly sanitized environment might contribute to a high risk of developing these type of immune-related disorders. These specific disorders are allergies and autoimmune diseases. That's why a lot of people who have pets growing up, they are less likely to have allergies because, pets bring in stuff. Okay, I don't know what this is. Okay, that concludes this review session for the Jeopardy part. I'm opening the floor for Q&A, but if you feel like you need the time to go study, you guys are welcome to dip. Just make sure your email is in the chat so I could take attendance. Or if anyone wants to stay and talk about the GI tract, I would love that too.
What are your normal study hours posted on Canvas?
Yes, they are. They're typically this time, 5:30 to 6:30 on Zoom. But on the midterm weeks, I just do the same like style 3 times through the week. So people who can't come to this one, they have the opportunity to go to the other two. And they are posted on what is it called? Canva. And if you miss one of these, it's all fully recorded.
And is every like study hour or whatever you want to call it, like with you like this, or is it like just ask questions that you're not sure about?
Well, these Jeopardy style questions are only for the review because it's mandatory attendance and usually people don't come with questions. If you email me ahead of time, I could look into questions that you want me to clarify more of, or you could just come to one of the or like office hours and ask your questions and we could figure things out together.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Good luck on your
Thank
midterm.
you.
September midterm so early. Good luck.
By me. Oh my God.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
quick question. Do we have to show proof of attendance, or are you taking our attendance and we're good on our end, or do we have to like submit anything for
You
this?
just type your email in the chat. I take attendance and then I send it to the professor, and you guys are fine as long as you put your email in the chat.
Okay, yeah. I added it in the chat, but mine is for some reason, I don't know why it's showing Jody's iPhone. That's my mom's name. So
Oh, again, no worries.
I'm
Thank you for putting
Amanda
your email.
Schwartz. Yeah, I put my email and then my first and last name, Amanda Schwartz.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
all good. Thanks for checking in.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Celine.
Good luck.
Thanks.